Hello, and welcome to T's Take on the Tools. Today's topic is talking less. So, I know from personal experience, as well as from the parents that I talk to all the time and support, that often we want to explain it all in incredible detail to our kids, whether they are toddlers or teenagers. We want to take what's in our head and transfer all of our knowledge to them for many reasons. And we do this with the very best of intentions. We want to shortcut things for them. We want them to learn from our experiences so that they don't have to go through the pain and suffering that we went through, and so that they can do things and think about things the quote right way. We want to make sure that they are learning the right lessons, reading the right books, eating the right foods, getting the right amount of exercise, spending time in the right environments, getting the right amount of sleep. Can you just feel the stress? I know I could use a couple of deep grounding breaths. So I'm going to invite you to take a couple with me right now. Just bring it down. Okay. From this slightly calmer space, we think that we will be failing as parents if we don't do this, if we don't somehow make them understand. Well, like many other times, I have bad news and I have good news, and it's the same news. It just does not work that way for so many reasons. Um, there's actually a couple of brain science based reasons off the top of my head that I can share with you that it just doesn't work that way. Number one, our kids' brains are developing from the back to the front, almost like, and also from the bottom to the top. So their emotional brain is developing first, and then it's working its way into logical brain, into kind of really logical, like executive function um, type of areas of the brain. So they're working on an emotional level. So us explaining all of our well-meaning and kind of advanced adult logic, actually, whether they're toddlers or teenagers, it's not going to work. And the other reason is that, not that they cannot think about anything logically until they're 30 years old. Certainly that's not true. But the more that we help them versus trying to insert something in and like download it to them, the more we can help them along to develop those capabilities, to develop the capability to make those logical connections through our questions, and through small steps with them. That's how they connect those neural pathways in their brain, in the parts of their brain that aren't as well developed yet. So just a couple of brain science reasons why it does not make any sense to try to tell your kids exactly everything that you know. Okay, but that's not primarily what I want to share with you today. I would like to share with you three positive discipline tools that really go with talking less. Um, okay, and will help us to get out of that whole frame of reference of trying to explain everything, and also The other frame of reference, which is has been a problem, more of a problem probably for me personally, which has been the nagging piece. So to try to get out of that, there's there's three tools that I want to share with you, and I use the first two of those positive discipline tools together typically. Those tools are one word and silent signals. And I think the best way for me to tell you about those, because they really are just what they say. I have the tool cards right here, even. So, one word and silent signals. So, one word, if I am in the kitchen, say, and it's my daughter's responsibility to feed the dog, I will say to her while I'm in the kitchen, dog, and since the dog's bowl is right there, I'll point to it as I say, dog. And so much the better if the dog is in there doing a little whimpering to let her know that he's hungry. So there's that. Another example, and this is actually true in my house today, if it's my son's job to take the garbage and recycling out, and it's dark outside, and those bins are not yet at the curb, and I happen to notice it, when I am on my way past his doorway in the hall, I'll knock, and in my little good night routine, the one word about this that I will say is garbage. And if he says anything, or uh, gives me any kind of excuse or what have you, what I'll do is I'll point to my wrist. Now, I don't wear a watch, but that's the universal sign for it's time, or you're late, or look at the time. And that's pretty straightforward, right? So, what it's a really good idea to try to keep in mind is that it takes a certain amount of time to establish a new habit. So, most of us as parents want to go into like a mini lecture mode. And I am speaking for myself here, a mini lecture mode, a nagging mode, or its emotions are running high, perhaps even a little bit of a yelling mode. That did used to be part of my default wiring. It takes some commitment and it takes some practice. So I do have a third tool that I'd like to share with you. Ready? The third tool is act without words. I love this. Again, it sounds straightforward, but to help you picture how this could look, I'm going to share the example that actually is written on the positive discipline tool cards if you have a set of these tool cards, which I love. I used to use this actual scenario when my kids were younger. And so I have two boys, and they are about a year and a half apart. So there used to be some fighting, but in my car, it used to be more like roughhousing, and the whole like just physicality. Um, Not so much fighting in the back seat while I'd be driving. And what I used to do was that I used to pull over to the side of the road when this would happen, and I wouldn't just listen to music. I would take something out. I needed to have something in front of me to focus my attention. I would read a book or a magazine until they stopped and they let me know that they were ready to keep going. And it never did take very long. Even if we were on our way to school, just the whole notion of being stopped and um, just stopped progress for them was a very big deal. They wanted to keep moving. So it's even a more effective tool if you can let them know in advance that that is what you're going to do. And if they're young, real young, it's also a good idea to check in with them and check their understanding of what it is that you said. And again, your kind and firm and even energy will always bring um, a better result than if your energy is not even and not kind as well as firm. So what I love about this tool and about this example is that it's a way for us as parents to escape the frustration of things like, how many times have I told you? And you should know better. And all of those somewhat unrealistic expectations that we have of them. And in this particular example, you know, like I said, they realize that they're not moving. They realize that I'm not driving. They're at a standstill, and it's a result of their own behavior. So they're completely in control of when they get back to making some progress forward. So our energy as parents is absolutely key. It's the key ingredient for these tools to get more of the result that you're looking for. So I hope that that gave you a little bit of food for thought and that you will figure one way, one step that you can make toward talking less, whether it's one word, silent signals, or act without words. And as always, I would love to hear your real life experience with these tools. Take care. Bye for now.